Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors. Here the poet is addressing the warmongers. He is requesting them to stop their wars for a while and introspect themselves. Green wars here stands for wars against nature, wars against environment, deforestation, etc. Wars with gas is here, it means wars with poisonous gas and all. Wars with fire means atomic war. So the poet is saying that they should stop all these types of war. Otherwise, victory with no survivors. Otherwise, one day will come when there will not be a single living souls to celebrate their victory. Would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. So he is requesting all these warmongers to put on clean clothes. Why clean clothes? Because he thinks that their clothes are already stained with sin and bloodshed and hatred, etc. And walk about with their brothers, and he wants them to join the people of the world and maintain silence for that brief period. This line suggests a new approach towards life. Now, the emphasis, students, should be on the word brothers. The poet wants to convey it to the warmongers. He wants them to realize it, that whom they are killing. They are killing their own brothers and sisters. And that is why he is requesting them to join their brothers. In the shade, doing nothing here suggests to take a pause from their brutal activities, and for that time being they won't do anything negative. And what they will do, they will only do self-introspection. He hopes that this pause for a brief period will make these warmongers realize what mistakes they are doing in their life, and they will rectify themselves. Hello students, now explanation of the next stanza. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. The poet here wants to clarify that when he asks us to stop from saying or doing anything. He doesn't want anyone to become totally inactive, because we become totally inactive when we die. This is not the intention of the poet. He simply means that we should stop for a while and we should introspect ourselves, our deeds. Life is what it is about. Life is about to move on, proceed, progress. I want no truck with death. No truck means no confusion. That is why he doesn't want any confusion with death. He doesn't mean that he wants us to be totally inactive. The poet talks about silence, not death. He wants us to pause for a while. He doesn't want us to die. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, according to the poet, we are single-minded. We always think about one single thing. And what is that? It is that we are always running after our goal, chasing our goals, money, materialistic benefits, luxury, and brutality also. The poet says that we are continuously working to achieve our tasks without even thinking about their results. To keep our lives moving, to progress in our life, we have become single-minded. And we think life is to move about, move on. But we fail to realize that we should not be always on the move, and for once could do nothing. Here, the poet urges us to stop for a while. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. So the poet thinks that for a while we should take rest, and if we can do so, if we do so, then we might interrupt sadness, this sadness. Now the poet thinks that we are sad. Why does he think so? Why we become sad? Excess work brings sadness and discord in the world. That all the time we are running after our goal to achieve something in our life. That is why we are doing excess work, and that is why we are sad, and that is why we are bringing discord in the world. So perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Now, children, see, we mankind are the most intelligent animal in this world. We understand so many things, but the irony is that we fail to understand ourselves. Whatever we are doing, whether it is right or wrong, whether we are on the right track or wrong track, we fail to understand that. The reason behind that is we are always on move. We are always chasing our goals. And that is why the poet thinks that hustle and bustle makes us to lose sight of our true goals. Understood? That we are always busy. We are not taking pause, we are not taking rest, we are not introspecting ourselves. That's why what happens, we lose sight of our true goals. That is why leisure is required to understand ourselves and our fellow human beings. Now let's concentrate in this line of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. What does this mean, of threatening ourselves with death? So, when we can't achieve something in our life after working so hard, so what happens? We become depressed, and depression gradually brings death, because we are always in a mad rush to accomplish all our tasks, all our works, and we most of the times we go wrong, but we don't understand that initially, because we don't take rest, we don't introspect. That is why gradually we threaten ourselves with death. Children, this part is a bit tricky. I hope you have understood. Now let's concentrate on the word here, perhaps on the line, perhaps a huge silence. Huge silence. Here the poet is saying that let's take a pause for a while, for a brief period. Now here again he is saying huge silence, in contradictory, isn't it? Here huge is not quantity wise, it is huge. Huge is impact of the silence will be huge on us. Impact of the brief silence, rather, brief silence will be huge on us. How come? Because we will introspect ourselves, then we will understand our wrong deeds, so we will rectify ourselves, and that way we will not be sad, we will not threaten ourselves with death. I hope, children, you have understood. Children, since this stanza is a bit tricky, so let me give the gist of this stanza so that it becomes easier for you. The poet doesn't want us to be confused with total inactivity. Total inactivity means death. He doesn't want us to die. Life is about to move on, move forward, proceed, progress. That is why he doesn't want us to die. He doesn't want any confusion with death. What he is saying is we need to take pause from our busy schedule and should introspect ourselves. The poet thinks that we are single-minded. We are single-minded. Why we are single-minded? Because we are always chasing our goals, running after our money. We are always in a mad rush to accomplish all our works. Why do we do so? So that we can keep on moving in our lives. And the poet, then he is saying that for once, if we can do nothing, if we can take rest, if we can stop for a while and introspect ourselves, then perhaps that a brief silence will have a huge impact on us. And what will happen? We will not be sad. We will interrupt this sadness. And why we are sad? How come we are sad? How we become sad? Excess work brings sadness and discord in our life. The human being are considered as the most intelligent animal. They understand so many things, but ironically, they fail to understand themselves, their activities, their deeds, their rights and wrongs. Why? Because we are always in a mad rush. And that is why when we can't achieve something in our lives, because we are already tired, we are already sad, we are tired by the time, and that's why when we can't achieve something, what do? We become depressed, and depression um, leads to death. We threaten ourselves with death. I hope you have understood, students. Perhaps the earth can teach us. The poet suggests us that we should learn a lesson from earth. As when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. During the winters, everything freezes and becomes lifeless. It is snowy everywhere. The trees, they don't have any leaf or any flower, anything. It looks as if the nature is dead. Basically, earth is taking rest, pause, so that she can bloom fully, colorfully during spring season. So when season changes and it is the onset of spring season, everything present in nature, such as the trees and everything, rivers, birds, etc., gets life. So after taking rest in the winter season, the nature can give her best in the spring season. Similarly, human beings also should take a pause from their busy schedule, and they should introspect, which the poet continuously he is saying, he is requesting, so that we can give our best after taking rest, after taking a break from our pause from our busy schedule. The poet thinks that just like nature, just like earth, we can also give our best in our life. We will be able to understand the purpose of our life, and it will be like a rebirth of the soul. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. The poet has conveyed to all the people the purpose of his message, and so now he asks them once again to take a pause, count till 12, and he walks out of the scene. When he is saying I will go, it doesn't mean that he will not join all of us, join in maintaining a silence for that brief period. What he wants to say that say us is that he wants us to be left alone, so that we can observe silence and thus find ourselves and our fellow human beings. Find ourselves here means, I mean to say, understand ourselves and our fellow human beings. So that is the end of the explanation, children. I hope you have understood it. Thank you. Now the use of poetic devices in this poem. The poet mainly he has used alliteration and repetition. So in almost in every stanza you will get alliteration and repetition. It is very easy to understand and identify. So I am not going to explain anything on alliteration and repetition used in the poem. Symbols, number 12 is a symbol, then cold sea is a symbol. Fisherman in the Cold sea, wooden arm, wells is a metaphor because fisherman is compared with mankind and wells compared with nature. So, and you know the explanation of this line, I have explained it already. So it's a metaphor. And at last, poetic device antithesis has been used. This line, when everything seems dead, letter proves to be alive. This is antithesis. Antithesis is the use of contrasting concepts, words, sentences, etc. within the parallel grammatical structures. So that's all, children. Take care.